have proven yourself worthy. Take these and access your full potential.
It's time to show them we are more than meets the eye.
Hello everybody and welcome, I'm Comodin Cam, and today we're going to be talking about the designs in Transformers 1. Now in my last few videos, I haven't been really giving my opinion on the designs, because I guess I've been saving up for a video like this, especially seeing the online reaction to these designs. It's been positive, but then it's been also negative.
I'm not talking to you.
You know what? We are so screwed!
Thought you weren't talking to me.
And I guess I wanted to explore and find out what it is about these designs that people aren't liking so much. Now for me personally, I quite like these designs. I actually think they're pretty cool. Something unique, while something similar at the same time. When it comes to our four main characters, however, we're going to see them mostly in a TCOG-less state. You know, they don't have the ability to transform yet, so they're looking pretty, I guess, basic. And a lot of other characters that are the factory bots are pretty basic looking. Even the ones that are suspected to be Hound and Jazz and Sunstreaker, etc. They don't really look anything much unique. They look all kind of the same. Now that's for story purposes. Our characters eventually do get their TCOGs and they do have really good looking alternate modes. Now in the trailer we pretty much got a good look of all of our four main characters' alternate modes. Optimus Prime in his traditional sort of truck looking form, Bumblebee looking very similar to his Cybertronian design in the Bumblebee movie, and Megatron being a tank, which has been pretty much common since the 2000s. And then we've got a Leader 1 who's very similar actually to RC's design in the Bumblebee movie. So a Leader 1 having the most badass moment when she's transforming and kicking the ass of a Viacon, Optimus Prime when he's transforming in the air, and he's the only character we've really got a good look at when it comes to toys. He's got a studio series that you can pre-order right now, which I think looks really cool. This is pretty much the traditional Orion Pack sort of look. He is Optimus Prime at this point, but still as a Cybertronian mode, it's still pretty cool, pretty consistent to what we're familiar with, so it's nothing too drastically different, something that's not going to be like a massive shock to anybody. You know, it's still Optimus Prime, he looks like Optimus Prime. Overall, I think they've really done a good job with this figure. There's no hollowness I can see at all. I've already pre-ordered it, so I can't wait for this deluxe class. It looks really big for a deluxe class, even though I know when you get it in person it's probably going to be like this big, but I'm really happy with that. But one feature of the designs that we really need to talk about, which I've seen drawn the most criticism, is the face designs of all of these characters. This is where the argument of it's gone all Pixar, it's gone all DreamWorks, you know, animation, you know, these characters, it's too Disneyified or whatever that's supposed to mean, and I understand it to a certain extent. Now let's sort of dissect what it is about this face design that seems to be throwing people off. Well, we need to look back at the Generation 1 faces. When you look at the G1 faces compared to what we have now, the baseline is there, except for this is CGI, it's got better graphics, and Transformers have mouths, Transformers have eyes, Transformers have noses, teeth, a tongue. Like, okay, is this a robot? Why do they have a nose? They're not humans. Well, look at Transformers Prime. Transformers Prime solved that problem by not giving any characters noses. To which, to a certain extent, I think it really worked for Transformers Prime's style. But in most Transformers shows, they have noses. Don't know why, but they do. And it's something Transformers fans have just accepted. Generation 1 had it. It's just a way of relating to the audience, especially to the main demographic being kids. Now, even though I like the style that this movie is going for, and I think it works for this style, this animation style, I will admit that I think there are two factors for it. It's the eyes and the chins. I'll start off with the chins, because the chins to me look pretty much the same. They've got this roundness to them, where if they were just straight lined or stylized a bit differently, I think that would have definitely differentiated the characters just a little bit more. And that's like the main thing I'll agree with when it comes to the face design, is I feel like the chins are the biggest feature, like the ones that's really throwing people off. Because they stylized Optimus's chin just a little differently compared to Megatron's. I think people could look at these characters as more as individuals, because it's like, yeah, their body designs are completely different from each other, obviously, but the faces just look all so strikingly the same. And I think the chins are a big factor of that. Of course, not so when it comes to Elita 1. She's the one that doesn't look so much the same as the rest of the guys, but Bumblebee's chin, Optimus, and Megatron's, they all have this roundness to them. I mean, even when D16 becomes Megatron, he's got more detail to the bottom of his chin, but he still has that sort of roundness, but it does enough to differentiate it, you know, compared to how he looks when he's young. So I think it's mostly due to the young factor of these Transformers. And then as they get these T-Cogs abilities, they'll change in shape or style. So I don't think we have to worry about this particular style for these characters for too long. But when Optimus Prime has that battle mask on, it goes away. But one thing I want to talk about that is really upsetting people the most is the eyes. The eyes of these Transformers. Now, when it comes to eyes in Transformers, oh, guys, it's been a huge debate for the longest time possible. Generation 1 had just one solid colour, and that's what it's been like for the longest time. Then we get into the 21st century, where there's a bit more creativity when it comes to the eyes, because when it comes to animation, animators love showing expression, you know, especially that sort of core emotion that an eye can give. And I think for a majority, when it comes to Transformers cartoons and the live action movies, they've done a really good job of making the eyes look robotic, and I think the case is still the same for Transformers 1. Like, if you look at Megatron's eyes in particular, the iris, it's hexagon styled instead of Optimus Prime's roundness. You know, we get a good close-up here. We got some good image close-ups of all of our characters, and their eyes are all unique. I guess B and Optimus are the only ones that are kind of similar, the same. I wish they kind of changed that up just a little bit. But when it comes to Elita 1, she's had a bit more style, a bit more flair with her eyes. But Megatron, what I really like this is they give this hexagon sort of look. That is really just a cool little attention to detail. Now, what a lot of people have been saying online is that they wish that the eyes were very similar to Transformers Prime. And okay, I will be the first to say, when it comes to eyes and Transformers, I think Prime did a really good job. But let's not forget, at the same time, a lot of characters in Transformers Prime don't have one solid colour, like the entire eye socket isn't filled. Look at Optimus Prime, for example. But the way how they've done it, the way how the eyes around the whole socket is sort of circulated around the pupils, it's so robotic, so detailed. I really like it. The same can kind of be said for Bumblebee. Each character in Prime's eyes has a unique language within itself when it comes to Autobots and Decepticons. You know, some Autobots, such as Bulkhead, well, it'll be an eye, but like you can see the black gap and all that. Then you've got some characters like Breakdown, Dreadwing, Arachnid, which will have that entire eye socket covered as one colour, like how we used to back in the G1 days. Even Megatron. But what Megatron's eyes were in Transformers Prime is pretty much the same with what they're doing for Transformers 1. Like, the entire eye is one blank colour, and then the iris is highlighted. It's just that the rest of the space, like Optimus's eyes, that blue, it's not that solid of a colour. And another show that recently did this was Transformers Earthspark. Transformers Earthspark's eye language is very similar to G1, where the entire socket is filled, and then we have the iris highlighted, which I think is really cool. And I think that's what they're doing here with Transformers 1. They want to show that pupil, you know, I bet there'll be a lot of scenes where that pupil will express so much emotion, intensity in that. Because we look at these posters, and the entire socket has a glow to it, you know. It has a glow. So Optimus got blue glow, Megatron's got a yellow glow, which will eventually, you know, see him have a red glow. The hollowness is being sort of disguised by the light of the pupil. Now, I can understand why an animator would definitely want to design eyes like this. It will show a different level of expression and emotion that you probably wouldn't be able to get, or probably be able to pull off properly if you had the entire eye socket covered. You know, look at the human eye, for example. You know, you can see the white there. Now, what would happen if that white was all blue? You know, well, I've not got blue eyes. I've got green eyes. But, you know, imagine if that entire white socket was green, you know? And it's like, I'll look pretty weird. I'm a human. I'm not a robot, however. So robots are able to pull it off because robots are cooler than us. Now, if the Transformers 1 characters have the fat blocked lenses from G1, how would that look? Well, thanks to Sixo, we get a good look at that. Now, Sixo is a great Transformers toy collector and photographer. I really enjoy his work. He's got a YouTube channel. I recommend you check him out if you get the chance. He's got great toy reviews. He goes really in depth. He is really my source of entertainment when it comes to Transformers media on Twitter. So definitely recommend giving him a follow when you have the chance. He brought up a very interesting point. He did these little edits here. Now, Sixo did this after seeing so much chatter about the faces on Twitter, and he was wondering himself if maybe the eyes were throwing some folks off. And he swapped them out for the more traditional flat block color lenses. Essentially what he did was have the G1 cartoon style in CG. And we can see that here. We have Megatron. Now, Sixo, you got me so confused here. I was okay until I saw this, because I am now split in the middle on this, because I like both. And I think that's one thing we need to talk about, is liking both. It's fine. Now I know a lot of fans like it one way or the other, but for me, as a Transformers fan, I kind of learned and come to accept the fact that sometimes I just like both and I just can't decide. So I'm glad that we have so many different continuities, and so now I'm like, okay, if I want a unique sort of style in the eyes, I'll go to Transformers Prime. If I want just the simple block color, I'll watch G1. And I think it all works in design language and animation language. You know, if you look at a show like Transformers Prime, you're not going to expect all the characters to have flat block color lenses. And I think that the style of the show made every character's eyes unique. And I think Transformers 1 has done that. Honestly, it's not going to be the main focus of my attention to the movie, you know, to be honest. I'm just going to enjoy the movie for what it is. But I am a guy who loves designs, so I love to analyze this stuff, and I will make myself go crazy over it. So when I see this, I can't help but go, damn, if I was the director of this movie, I won't be able to make up my goddamn mind. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, he has since regretted doing this. Because it has just made fans so confused themselves. He also did it for when Megatron becomes Megatron, when D16 becomes Megatron. And I gotta say, it's insane to me how this looks twice as cool. You know, because I understand where he's coming from. When you get to comics, the eyes, it's always been this block color. And some fans really like that because to them it feels more robotic. But then what feels more robotic to fans as well is the Transformers Prime style. Earthspark has reached it in the middle. You know, the G1 blockness and then with the iris highlighted, you know, it just sort of works together. So is it really something to lose sleep over? No. Because honestly, I think the last thing we need to be worrying about when it comes to Transformers 1 is the eyes. But I can understand why that may be a factor that contributes to why some people don't like the face. But to me, I'm really thinking it's the chin. I think it's the chin that's throwing a lot of people off. But we've got to think about it. These characters are in their adolescent stage. You know, this is where they're young. They don't know any better. They haven't upgraded yet. They haven't got their T-Cog. So they haven't yet. I guess their face just hasn't grown. Or they haven't got these extensive features. So, yeah. I mean, lips is one thing as well. That throws a lot of people off. And I can't believe I've not talked about the lips at this point. Yes, the lips are definitely something new as well. Because you've got, it's basically G1, but in CG. You know? And when you see that, you go, okay. Maybe that doesn't work so much. But for me, I can get over it. But I know a lot of people can't. And it's one of the main reasons why they don't like it. They don't like the kid-friendly look to it. I mean, we all know about the War for Cybertron trilogy Megatron. He got a lot of flack for his lips, which much deserved, really. Those lips were way too big for the dude, but you look at him here and people are having the same sort of issue. Bumblebee has less lip. Bumblebee is sort of lipless in a way, but all the other characters sort of have a good lip depth to them. That makes sense. My God, what am I talking about? Now, a lot of Transformers fans just prefer the solid lens. You know, when it comes to the optics and Transformers, it's always sort of a delicate sort of topic, and I can understand it to a certain extent because, yeah, you're right, you know, these are robots, these aren't humans. So having these, like, really detailed optics, which is what the Transformers say to describe their eyes, you know, instead of eyes, they say optics. And, you know, I kind of find myself saying it quite a lot, to be fair, when it comes to real life. Now, don't get me wrong, Generation 1 was still able to show a lot of expression when it comes to the eyes, especially in the 1986 movie, you know, and I think it really worked for that animation style. But naturally, I think it's just a common thing with animators to really want to show that detail, especially if you really are showing a character with a lot of depth and emotion and feelings, and their way to show that would be the eyes. It's a language, it's a code, it's what animators like to do and what animators always will do. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It's definitely something I guess we shouldn't really worry about too much. But I can understand the criticisms and the praise at the same time. Like, I have just become to be always split in the middle in a lot of cases like this. Because, you know, I didn't think about it until 6-0 pointed it out. So I guess I have 6-0 to blame for that. But he makes an interesting point. He really does make an interesting point. And maybe it is a contributing factor to why so many people don't like these designs, but I don't know. I guess it could be for all sorts of reasons. It really is based on everybody's personal preference, really. We're all unique Transformers fans. We're very special because we always have things set in a certain way. Like, characters have to look like this in a certain order and a certain style and all this kind of stuff. And to be fair, it's another reason why I think the Transformers franchise is so great, because we have such unique continuities with different standards, different styles, that if you don't fancy this, then you can fancy that. You know, it's always something different. And Transformers 1 is just doing its own thing. Because you look at the eyes in the movies, they're so detailed. You know, they've got so... Mostly they're just like a little dot, as you see for... At least to me, I've never complained about the eyes in Transformers, the live-action films. I think they've always looked cool and sort of badass. But I don't know, guys. To say it looks unbelievably bad, like it looks really crap, it's just... For me, I'm just not feeling that side of the argument, really. I think it's something refreshing, but at the same time, it's taking a risk, that's for sure, because look at everyone else, like Arachnid, Starscream, Shockwave, you know, Soundwave, they all look like how they used to, you know, they have that same design silhouette. Well, this film is meant to be for Transformers fans. You know, the director Josh Cooley stated that they really had us in mind for this. They really wanted to throw in all the Easter eggs and all the kind of references that we will know, that only us Transformers fans will know. So I really think this film has the potential to be a great Transformers film for fans. So, anyway guys, I've been Comodin Cam. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you like the eyes? Do you like the nose? Do you like the lips? What do you like? What is your favourite feature about these faces? Tell me, what do you like about these faces and what you don't? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. To keep updated on all Transformers 1 news, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get all updates instantly. Till next time, guys, I've been Comodin Cam, and goodbye.